Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Heather Hurley Foundation for the Prevention of Domestic Violence reading of my memoir, The End of November, Growing Up with Domestic Violence, which can be found on Amazon. My name is Nicole Sharp, and for the past few weeks, I've been reading chapter by chapter this book, which I think is very helpful for people who think they are alone who are going through domestic violence. You are not alone. There are many of us, and even after you might be removed from the violent situation, you still have remnants of things that affect you negatively. And it's a growing process to be able to pull yourself away from it, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally and psychologically, because in an environment of violence, you have psychological abuse, you have emotional abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's financial abuse, there's elder abuse. There are many abuses, sexual abuse, child abuse, and we want to bring these things to an end by shining the light on domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and gender-based violence. So I'm an advocate to raise awareness of these things because I have experienced it. I lost my mother to domestic violence, and unfortunately I was a witness to many of the atrocities that she experienced. And so my hope is that people hearing my testimony, hearing my book, reading the book, will be able to not only see that they're not alone, but to be able to grow stronger from it, to be able to get out of the violent situation, and for abusers to even stop abusing and be delivered. So today we're reading chapter 12, Signs and the Imagination. When I told my younger sister about this book and explained to her how therapeutic it was writing about my past experiences with our parents, she brushed over it lightly. I knew she didn't really want to know the details of what I knew about our family life. She has heard stories told from other relatives, but not really from me. From time to time, from the time she was born, I made a resolve at the age of 8 that I would protect her by any means necessary from the atrocities that I had to witness. So when I sensed that a blow up was about to occur, I would remove her from the situation. I was already programmed to know when a fight would break out. I would see the signs. Late at night, on the weekends, my father would come home drunk, decked out in his slobbering, binge-drinking regalia. This was almost always a recipe for disaster. He might silently stare at my mom with the flickering fire of ill intent in his eyes, and this was a sure sign that an eruption was about to occur. Or he would go out of his way to create a totally pointless argument. As I have mentioned before, he would occasionally, when my mother was home before he got home, he would come home from work and feel our vintage yellow rotary phone on the wall in the kitchen to see whether or not it was warm or cold. If it was warm, that meant my mother was talking on it with her friends, and this horrid act was forbidden. If she truly was speaking on the phone, I heard my father's keys in the door or the garage door opening. I would watch her jump up immediately, rush off the phone, and head upstairs to appear busy with some household activity like separating laundry or tailoring his clothes. Sadly, my mom was trained like one of Pavlov's dogs. When he felt the warmth of the phone, that was an automatic argument and almost always grounds for a beating. Every day, I felt as if I was watching a bad movie that had no ending, and the worst part was that there was no way of escaping the theater. As a child, I would actually pretend that my life was just a movie, not actual reality. A made-for-television movie where, as the season ended with the last day of school and began again with the first day of school. In the morning, as I would hop to school, I would sing the theme song On some mornings, I would sing a theme song, which would most likely be some popular song that I fancied at the moment. Anyway, when I would see the signs, I would move my sister to another room and engage her in some creative play with our many toys. Something fun that would distract her. I even transformed our dusty, box-laden basement into a playland / classroom. Our father brought home a huge two-tiered wooden desk that we used to botch experiments with our chemistry set. He said he made it, but I knew he didn't because he certainly wasn't a handyman, but he got that desk for us nonetheless. We were happy to have it. A paper map of the world hung behind it on the wall so that the desk also served as a newscasting desk. I used my father's huge video camera to tape these broadcasts. We played chess on a large glass board inlaid in thick pine wood, which he also said he made. This board also doubled as a dance floor for the Barbie dolls. The dolls were our actors to many of our off-the-wall soap operas and talent shows that we came up with. My mother topped off the basement with a fluffy cream-colored carpet on which we would make snow angels on and roll around and pretend it was snow. The 2 clotheslines that hung above us served as ski lifts for the Barbies. In that basement, I taught my sister how to read before she even started school, just as my parents taught me. Reading was essential in order to delve deeply into the pleasantly distracting world of the imagination. Although my father forbid me from reading anything fictional, I made sure to introduce my sister to the literary land of fiction, starting with my favorite books, Iris Sleeps Over and Where the Wild Things Are, and of course, Shakespeare, whose works I love. She became an avid reader of everything, and right now her literary resume is tremendous, spanning all throughout the classics and beyond. She reads a lot more than I do. So when I mentioned my memoir to Natalie, I knew it wouldn't be on her to-do list of works to delve into, but I just thought I should make her aware of it. I brought one experience from it to her attention, and my normally extremely talkative sister, whose mouth my mother comically proclaimed ran like a faucet, and who she prophetically described as the next Oprah Winfrey, went silent. She witnessed some of our parents' tamer fight scenes, but there are some events that I screened her from that she is still not aware of to this day. The rape incident stunned her into a silence so strange that I decided at that moment to continue to shield her from some things for her sake. Not everyone can handle hearing the grave details of abuse. Imagine the children forced to experience it firsthand, day by day. Our imaginary winter wonderland in the basement was our great escape. There, our laughter painted the walls. Our snow angels tattooed the carpet. This was our secret place of protection. Little did we know that our mother would later die there on the fluffy cream-colored carpet. And I'm going to stop there. It is quite heavy. It's important to note that it is extremely important for especially kids in abusive environments to create an alternate world for them, to protect their sanity, to protect their mind, to protect them emotionally. These are called defense mechanisms, any tools that you use to help you to cope with any type of trauma. So this was one of ours, was playtime, and turning things, repurposing things into more fun things, like it did with the desk and the clotheslines and the carpet. Anything around us can be a tool of play, which took our minds away from the ongoing trauma that we experienced. And it's very important that people do so, that young people and even older people, we might find ourselves in situations where we have a defense mechanism. It might be going to the movies by yourself. It might be just going on a weekend trip by yourself to clear your mind. It might be taking part in some type of craft. Like I also wrote stories, and I would put myself as a character, the protagonist in the stories. And so now my world is this story world, right? And it distracted me from the reality of the world in front of me. And I passed that on to my sister, and then on to my brother. And it was very important for us to do so, but not to get stuck in this alternate reality. As I got older, I still continue to write because that is still a defense mechanism for me, although I'm not still in the environments of abuse. I'm not going to lie that I'm still affected by it. And so it was important for me to delve into my stories and be a character in my stories. I still do that. But of course, I'm not separated from true reality. It's just important for me to just get away sometimes, even if I can't physically get away, to get away mentally and emotionally. And defense mechanisms are a great tool to be able to do that, as long as they're healthy and they're not hurting you or anyone else. And our basement, when I think about it, it was our playland. Then it also doubled as the place of my mother's last moments. And it's so difficult to imagine that this is how it ended in our home. We'll soon, after the next chapter, we're actually going to go into details of the day that my mother was killed. And that chapter is called November 22nd because this happened on 11/22 some years ago. And so we'll go deeper into that. I want to thank you for listening in to this particular chapter. Once again, let us not put down people who have gone through domestic violence. Let us not blame the victim. Let us help and support them, even if we don't understand. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. And subscribe to the Heather Hurley Foundation. We would really love that. Thank you.